Good morning. So, what direction should we be in today, and what currency pairs should we be in today? Well, that's a bit of a question. Now, we've got to go back a step to Friday. Friday's non-farm payrolls came in less than expected, quite a weak showing. There's also some questions about what the direction there. The biggest thing is whether we're going to see a 0.25% or 0.5% cut next week when the Fed Reserve members meet on the 18th. Now, that along with the sell-off of equities, etc., has seen effectively the dollar strengthen a little bit here by looks of things into Friday. Not quite giving me the setup I was looking for this morning. In fact, we got these bearish engulfing candles on the euro here and on the pound. The Canadian dollar's got the equivalents of. So we've got a few of these going around. Morning, Paul. So let's look at these in a bit more detail. Have we stalled here? We're going to reverse back down to, in this case of the euro, back to its monthly pivot. Well, it's on shape to do so. It's not, as I said, I was hoping that today I'd be looking at getting into a nice long position, but it's not happening at the moment, and it's looking quite iffy as it sits here. Now, we had a number of Fed speakers out on Friday. They also were wheeled out by looks of things to compensate for the low figures, but they were also all talking about cuts. But there was this sort of comment from one or two of them suggesting you don't want to rush into it because inflation's still there. Anyway, it's getting typical back to safety sort of aspects of they don't really want to commit. Looking at this euro though, it's close to giving aside of the key reversal bar, it's quite key to close to giving us a lower high confirmed. So we're just looking at it, you see a bit clearer on the alleys here. In fact, it's pipped through it, but it's not far off of that lower high. The question is this morning is, are we going to continue to see the dollar bought effectively, other markets selling, or are we going to get the reversal? Just looking at the weekly pivots, where we're off the bottom of the weekly pivot here, coming back a step from a swing perspective. Well, we could be on for the S1 there. Okay, that's the euro. The pound looking quite well, again bearish engulfing. We've got the monthly pivot sitting there below. At the moment it looks like we're selling, and again we're putting this little lower high in. It's looking soft at this stage, so we've got this sort of softness coming in, not looking great. And well, at this stage, if we're looking purely at technicals, it looks, with that bearish engulfing, etc., we could be on for the monthly pivot. As I say, different to the way I was looking at things on Friday. When I was sort of wrapping up, I was looking for the potential long side, but of course the dollar has, or the other currency pairs continue to sell against the dollar. The dollars continue to be bought. The US dollar yen here is one exception which I'm really looking for, and I'm going to put the alert on it now. This is probably the is to see if we get it back up into its weekly pivot, and I'm looking to short this. Now it has double bottomed here, so effectively from way back was at the 5th of August through to the 6th of September, we've got a double bottom. Let's see its reaction into these levels here. It might be we just get a play back down to the lows there, but I think with some unwinding of carry trades, etc., we've got potential of a continuation to the downside. Quite messy on Friday, and that was the sort of the picture overall. Consolidated where it is now. Part of what could give us the trigger on the dollar yen is a break of the daily pivot here even. And so there's a second option. There's the option of being patient and waiting if it breaks and gets a move back to where its weekly pivot sitting, which is pretty much on where the Friday's daily pivot was sitting. or if it starts breaking over a bit quicker, maybe it will just go without coming back there. In a sense, that would suggest a stronger market for the yen. Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar, a big bearish engulfing again. It's same as everywhere else really. It's just it's bigger. As I mentioned on last week a lot, the dollar was the Australian dollar even was looking weaker than some of the other majors here, and well, it's showing again the same here. And I guess it's a bit inverted to what the yen's doing, but I'd like to see the same thing happen in terms of it running back into its weekly pivot and rollover. Certainly a possibility, but it's looking soft already on the dailies here. It's to me it just looks like it's got scope for a rollover. We'll see how it shapes up this morning, but quite like it. If it runs down to the S1, well, the S2 could also be hit. We've got the quarterly pivot right the way down there, which could be an attraction. If we go back to the 4 hours, you see the quarterly pivots. So it's been a while since that quarterly pivot's been hit. That could be a draw, although it has been hit before. US dollar CAD, as I mentioned, this is an inverted play here effectively because the US dollar CAD. So it's got a bullish engulfing instead of bearish engulfing. Again, we've got a monthly pivot sitting over there. Now, it might be that we just see with a lot of these markets them run back to their monthly pivots and get a reaction off of them. But we'll see how things develop. News-wise today, we haven't got a great deal. In fact, I should have come on to that earlier, but we have got the ECB meeting on Thursday. But getting back to this US dollar CAD, at the moment, maybe it'll roll back through, and I'll be more interested if it breaks its weekly pivot to the downside. This is one I just saw was making a bit of a recovery, but quite ugly looking. Weird old day with the non-farms coming out for both Canada and the US there. In fact, let's just run back onto the news here. Oops, didn't want last Sunday, I want last week. Just running into Friday's data there, and the employment data falling for Canada as well as the US. The only thing that boosted the US, I suppose, in some respects is, well, it's a couple of things. The unemployment rate itself stood pretty still, but we saw this big adjustment. We've seen this big adjustment kicking through there, revised last time. Will this get revised again? Is this better than it looks? Than it is, rather. Anyway, does it look better than it is? That's what I meant to say. So this week, sorry, actually just click more on here, it'll be easier. Some things to watch out for this week. Yes, there is just Chinese data that's already come out. Inflation lowering there. Falling off, producers price index falling off, prices getting cheaper. This week, tomorrow, we got the UK claimant, the basically employment report there, and then we've got inflation, two double inflation. We've got the CPI, then the PPI for the US, and we've got the ECB meeting there. So just watch out, that PPI is wrapped up on Thursday. So we do have some big old data out later in the week. The Canadian, that's also soft on the jobs market. Maybe this will just continue pushing up then. But it's away from its the high, whereas the others are all near their respective lows. This is away from its high at the moment. Morning, guys. New Zealand dollar. Sorry, there we go. New Zealand dollar. Well, now this is like the Aussie, breaking down a bit quicker, heading down at the moment towards its monthly pivot. Any opportunities? Well, it's just breaking the lows here. It's got scope for that to come off some more, and this could, like the Aussie, could be quite a mover here. It's already running. It's a bit early for me to jump in a trade prior to 8 o'clock. We often see reversals coming, not always, of course. There'll be some jumping straight on board on this because it looks quite pretty in terms of the price action there, but I do tend to wait post 8 o'clock to be taking trades. We often get some key reversals coming back from 8:30 time. Right, anyway, so looking a bit soft. For me, I prefer the soft side here, so I'd be patient and wait for that. There may be an opportunity to get into that. Yeah, it has broken the lows though. The US dollar Swissy, well, Friday it ended up on a bearish day. US dollar against the Swissy, we saw it against the yen as well. The yen and the Swissy are those markets that I think have got the potential to continue to strengthen against the dollar. The problem with this one, I had to keep on coming out here because we're getting quite close to, we've already taken out the body lows here, and I just wonder at the beginning of 2024 these were the lows, full stop, whether we'll get intervention discussed from the Swiss National Bank when it gets down to these levels. They don't want to see such a strong Swissy. That's the only thing that's the fly in the ointment here. Whereas the Bank of Japan could do with some strengthening here, they want the Swiss National Bank wants to see some weakening, or in other words a continued push up there. Now it has pushed up this morning, US dollar Swissy. Maybe we've got more upside to come from that. To say it's so close to those prior lows that well, certainly the monthly pivot could come into play there as well. Euro yen, just a couple of cross pairs I like. Euro yen still facing southbound, and I think we get continuation of this. It's having a bit of bounce at the moment, but this could develop into something this morning on a breakdown, very similar to the dollar yen, to be fair, but just softer. Euro CAD I trade quite a bit. Let's just have a look at what's going there swing wise. It's Euro CAD, right, thank you. That's well, big engulfing continuation here. We'll see what happens as we run through. A nice bounce off the weeklies would be quite decent to watch. Last week it spent most of its time pushing to the upside. I was looking for earlier in the week for the short off of here, but it never materialized at the right time of day, and just carried on pushing through. Let's just watch to see what happens here if we're going to see a continuation. We were looking even at a bear flag here last week. This week it's sort of got these higher lows coming through here, and this is, as I say, looking more positive still. Okay, morning Ronald. That's pretty much on the currencies for the moment. I will be going through the other cross pairs in some detail to see if we've got any swing opportunities. Let's just stop clicking on the wrong buttons, Kim. Quick look at gold. I know we've got quite a few gold traders. Where's gold gone? I just realised I'm looking at the wrong markets, but it doesn't matter. Or wrong listing here. That's crude, not gold. Let's look at gold first then. So gold, really following the picture of a lot of these markets in lots of respects in terms of these bearish engulfing, the dollar taking over. We were struggling to get back past those previous highs there, all-time highs sitting in gold there, but it's still holding up in this area. We'll see how it does. I wouldn't be a major seller until we saw a break of these prior lows here. I'd be more likely to be a seller. I say a major seller, but you know what I mean. At the moment, it's looking to put a reversal in, and I'm just wary of a lot of these markets could get a reversal. It's just pipping into 8 o'clock. Break of the high between the two lows there well, in this case would give us a higher low. In the other markets it'd give the configured divergences or the confirmed divergences that will be sitting there in price action. So we'll get divergence traders coming in here. It could give us a higher low on the break. Right, that's gold. Oil, not looking particularly great last week at all. From a daily perspective, we saw it on Friday even running down lower there. Bit of a bounce this morning at the moment. I still prefer the downside on this. It has got some on the bigger time frames. It has got some potential support at some stage, but I'll be looking at this afternoon more so. I like to trade it from 2 onwards. I'll see what it's doing, but I do like the downside. We saw it last week, although it did get a bit sort of stuttery, to put it politely, but we'll see what happens this afternoon. But it does still, to me, it's still a bearish trade on the opportunities, on the retracements, on the breakdowns. S&Ps, right, I have got to move markets here. Let's just switch to that one and look at the S&Ps. And look at it from a daily perspective. So Friday saw the weakening of the markets. It looks like things are overcooked and the Fed aren't taking action quick enough. Well, that's the general chatter out there. Lower interest rates should be good for the equity markets, apart from, of course, if they've already messed things up and kept the heat on too long and overdone things, and that's what we're seeing here. Now it's early hours into this market. I would be looking at off the weekly pivot for potential shorts there. It could go earlier. It's just running into the underside of its daily pivot at the moment, so it's quite nicely set up. Okay, non-farms was a bit of a nuisance in a sense there, because that well, just pierced the daily pivot there, but just rolled back off of it on Friday, and we could see something similar. It's one of the nicest little setups, but got to give it a bit of time yet. The Nasdaq, etc., similar-ish. You can barely break some of these markets. A part of the side of the Nasdaq is weaker generally than where the S&P's got to. Coming closer, the DAX. So again, same sort of picture here. Quite a bearish looking pivot swingy sort of move, continuation move to the downside potential there. We'll see how things develop, but generally a slowdown in the US. When the US markets catch a sneeze, the rest of the markets tend to get the flu or catch a cold, as they say. Again, underside of the weekly pivot could be a potential short on here. So we've got plenty of sort of retracements just coming in bearish looking shape of price action. The FTSE quite similar, almost to its weekly pivot here on the daily wise. Looking a bit stronger this morning compared to some of these equity markets. Maybe it will benefit, but it is shaped up by gold stocks, oil stocks, etc., and can have quite an impact with low oil prices. But we'll see what it shapes. But for now, really looking on the weaker side on the weekly chart, right, or the weekly pivots rather. Right, I'm going to leave you there. I will catch you back in tomorrow morning on YouTube. Take care. Bye for now. I'm not leaving the room